Well, welcome viewers again to the Barry Peatling channel, and welcome to you, Barry.
Good afternoon, Colin. This lovely, pleasant
Monday afternoon.
It's a very good
Sun
day.
shining.
About 22 degrees, and it's about time we got a bit of summer weather.
It's a perfect. Well, it's only the spring, so it's a perfect.
No, it's October. It's nearly November.
Spring.
This time last year I had a tan up.
Well, it's a lovely day anyway.
Beautiful day.
So we're sort of in between seasons a little bit, but there's the
Spring Carnival.
The Spring Carnival's on, and you're going to have your Melbourne Cup spectacular in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're going to get primed up for that.
So we're going to have a little bit on.
All my overseas viewers will be waiting desperately for that, won't they?
Yes, that's right. So last year we had more than almost 1,500 hits. 1,600 hits. World record of hits on the your Phantom call.
I didn't think it was too flash, but people out there, no, it wasn't too bad, but well, it's a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
some people say, well, check it out.
Look forward to that. So before we talk about that, let's have a look at what do we got here? Headline: Peatling may miss rest of season.
Well, I thought I might just get it out and just show the viewers out there that I'm still here after that little fractured neck and fractured skull. Back in 1964 it was, and
63 I think.
63, got thrown out of a car, landed on my head, put a dent in the road and fractured my skull, and very lucky to be here. And that's what I was in.
They were in the grand final that year, weren't they? Rapagna. You got them.
They won the flag that year.
Won the flag.
I played the first half, about 8 games. We were on top. But we won the flag that year, but that was the headlines Murray Lawson gave me for... They wouldn't show me that headline either in the paper when I was in hospital.
Well, they would have spurred you on.
I asked them years ago, why didn't you? He said, oh look, we thought we might have frightened you. I said, that would have sparked me up.
Who's this Keith May person?
He was playing the seconds. He got a very serious injury that same weekend apparently.
He got a little bit of a...
kidney, something with his kidney, wasn't it?
Something like that.
It's in hospital.
Spleen was
Spleen, that's
removed.
right, yes, ruptured spleen, which wasn't too flash back in them days. But that was the main headline for Mr. Peatling, and
pretty exciting.
And
that's what happens.
Yes, and this is when I was in traction in St John of God's Hospital in Ballarat. I was transferred down from Horsham Hospital on Sunday. It was the roughest ride in the world. I got down to Ballarat. And here I was like that for 6 weeks. I was unconscious there, another planet. And the reason I stayed there, Colin, that the sisters and the nuns who was St John, who were run by the nuns, that was the first traction ever used. And the sister told me weeks later, after a while I was in hospital, she said, Barry, if that would have happened 5 years before that, you would have been gone. Because this was the first, that's why I took the photo. Things stuck in my head and for 6 weeks like that. And after I'd come out of that, another 6 weeks of that plaster all over my head and all over my body. How I put up with that, I'll never ever know.
Still had a smile on your face, Barry.
Well, there's my little massage card there. I thought it's a new one, so I'll sort of update one.
Yeah.
Pretty flash little one of my ex-clients too. She wasn't a bad sort, was she?
Not too bad, and there's your you've got your YouTube channel on there, and also your Gmail address and traditional telephone number.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's a 61 code for international. And 03.
That's right. Anybody over at Paris or Japan, give me a call and I'll fly over and give you a massage.
Well, you have to fly you over.
No, I'll fly over, have a holiday and give you a nice relaxing massage.
Alright Barry, you wanted to talk about which is the main headline.
Because it's Spring Carnival, that's right.
Spring Carnival, and you want to talk about the commentators, harness racing and the racing commentators.
Yes, I do.
Okay, well that should be interesting, and you're going to tell us a little bit of the history about the broadcasting from
I'll tell you
way back.
A little bit later, but I'll tell you now, at the moment Greg Miles is calling for RSN, which used to be 3UZ, Sport 9 7 years ago, but Greg Miles, he comes from the ABC to replace Brian Martin a few years ago, which I could not believe. He's still calling Brian Martin. But
so when we say years ago, what are you talking about?
Well, Brian Martin's been gone from Sport 927 or RSN as it is now.
RSN,
probably, might be 4 or 5 years. The time flies quick, but
so mid 2000s.
He was But now Greg Miles is very boring. He's got as much charisma as two dead rats.
Really?
Yeah, he's got
that much?
no charisma at all, Greg Miles. Another thing is...
So Greg Miles, no stars.
No stars at all. I mean, I don't know how he is... But Brian, I'll say something about Brian Martin, but he's on another station commentating, rather broadcasting now, but when the horses start, the race starts, right, the horses jump at the stalls, the first thing he'll say is something slow out.
Who says this?
Greg Miles and a few of the other commentators, so it's sort of snowboard, it just flows on. But Bert Bright, when he was calling, you never met... When a horse is slow out, Colin, it could be a length, missed by a length, or it could be missed by 6 lengths.
Okay.
But just they're too slack.
You need more description.
In other words, when the horses jump, you say, right, so-and-so's missed a start by 1 or 2 lengths or 3 lengths, but they just say slow out.
Do you think they've been affected by television commentators?
Well, I don't know, they're just... Because I'll tell you...
You're talking about radio commentators. What's the difference between a radio race commentator?
Not much difference at all.
They need to be more descriptive on the radio.
Of course they do, because the TV, I mean, most of the races are covered by the TV now, but I listen to races every day. I've been listening for the last 50 years. And I'll tell you who started this slow out business. Ron Hawkswell, big fat fellow called the Greyhounds. He's been calling since 1980.
And we know how you're a bit of a fattest.
And he's too slack to say that the horse missed the start or whatever. He says, oh, so-and-so's slow out, he's slow out. The point I'm trying to get over, Con, people listening home like me that watch Sky TV, a horse could be slow out. You don't know whether it's missed by a length or 3 lengths, right? Right. And
so you want
get
more...
that in your head, Greg Miles. When the race starts, so-and-so missed the start by a length and a half, 2 lengths or 3 lengths. But just forget about slow out.
Okay, so you need more description. Okay, so you want to get rid of slow out or ball?
Well, just call it as it is. Like if the race to start, right? Some jumps out in the middle of the field, missed by 2 lengths. You say, right,
missed by 2 lengths.
Joe Blow's missed it by 3 lengths or 2 lengths.
Okay, so there we go. There you have it.
That in your head,
Greg Miles is his favourite commentator.
No, you
got to get rid of him.
Got to get rid of him. Brian Martin back.
Okay, so you were going to give us the history of broadcasting from way back?
Well, it started. I've been listening to races on the radio and I'm watching TV since the early 50s when I was a kid. I listened to radio with Bill Collins and Bruce Bryant. And I'll tell you, it started on, back in them days, it was 3DB and 3UZ. Bill Collins was on 3DB, which is a bit of competition for Bert Bryant, who was on 3UZ.
Bert Bryant?
Bert Bryant, I still think that Bert Bryant, he died a few years ago, he is the best broadcaster, thoroughbred racing broadcaster I've ever heard. Bill Collins was pretty good, but he was a bit of a big noter.
Of all time? All
time. There was Joe Brown back in the early 40s and 50s, but he was pretty ordinary. But the main commentators the last 30 years have been John Russell, who took over from Bert Bryant.
What about Bill Collins?
He was pretty good, but he was on 3DB. So 2 different stations.
You didn't like 3DB?
Well, I didn't listen. I used to listen to Bert Bryant. I mean, everybody had their preferences back in the day. Some were Bill Collins fans, but I was a Bert Bryant fan. But I do think he's the best broadcaster. A lot of colour. He can make a race with 2-horse racing.
So what do you think of the race broadcasters of today then, Barry?
Well, I mentioned before about Greg Miles. He's very boring, but I just tuned in about 3 weeks ago, and they do it at SEN. They're not the normal racing station, but now, the last few weeks, Brian Martin has been doing it. Well, probably in the last couple of months, and he is. I don't know why I give him the flick of Sport 927, but I was listening to on the last Saturday on the weekend. After the race and before the race, you've got Dr. Turf and Kevin Bartlett and Richo and the
Jokers. They're all jokers.
It's very entertaining because Dr. Turf is a very funny man and a very clever punter. Yeah. And it's very entertaining.
They're always having to go at him too, like, you know.
Yeah, they do, but he's a very knowledgeable man. He's a very, very funny man. He started off with the punter back in the 80s. And
that Richo, he was, wasn't he a runner? Athletics.
I think he won Store Gift.
Yeah, Store Gift.
But it's a breath of fresh air. A breath of fresh air. Before the race and after the race, they talk about who's given tips and who's been backed. And Brian Martin, he is still got it. I don't know why they don't get him back on 3UZ.
He's a good caller. So you'd say then your favourite station?
From now on will be SEN.
SEN. So you, not even with what's his name?
So thanks very much, SEN. I mean, I used to listen to SEN the last few years in the early mornings, but they got a bit boring. But they've got to have a good move. I don't know whose idea it was, but they got Brian Martin back, and he can.
What day is this on?
Well, this will be on Saturday, but they're on the Oaks Day and a Caulfield Cup Day. They'll be on the Derby Day, but at the main races. But I think they might keep him. Looks like right in the footy season because they broadcast football. But in the spring time, I think they'll be to say it's a breath of fresh air instead of listening to RSN, which is called now
927 Sport. Used to be.
No, it's not just RSN now.
I'm too close to the RSL.
Yeah, but the old fellas, but no. Greg Miles, you're probably a good fella, but you're a very boring commentator, mate.
So we established Brian Martin, excellent caller. SEN is your favourite channel.
And I just fluked that a few weeks ago. I didn't realise he was. And they give you some nice. You can have a bit of a laugh when they give the betting fluctuations. It's very entertaining.
So give us your best caller of all time.
My best caller of all time is without any shadow of a doubt, Tom, Bert Bryant.
Bert Bryant.
He was. Well, you probably never heard of him, but
what made him good?
He just had everything. He was just like there was a fellow called Ken Howard who used to broadcast to Sydney back in the 50s, 60s and 70s. His favourite saying was London to a brick, they'll win.
A London to a brick?
Is the photo finished? Oh, London to a brick, that's one.
London, what's that mean, London
I don't
to
know,
a brick?
well, London, that was his saying. London to a brick, which is like a brick you build a house with, but that was his saying. In other words, he was pretty sure.
So no one knew it. So you didn't know what it meant, but you liked it.
I knew what it meant because if it was a close finish, he'd say, all right, London to a brick, this is one. Get it? Understand now?
Yeah, I sort of
otherwise, he was pretty sure when he used to say
I understand, but I still don't know what it means.
It means he was sure that the horse won the photo.
But I don't know why he's saying London to a brick.
That was he saying.
Well, that's another intriguing story about horse racing, Barry.
Well, I thought I'd get that off my chest, and I'll tell you who started all those little stupid slow out and second and third and so in the running, and it was Ron Hawkswell, the most boring greyhound company. I think he's still commentating on the grounds. He's been around for. He used to have about 25 pies between each race back in the day.
Was he fat as well?
About as wide as we were there.
So we've established too that you are a fattest. All the fat people are going to get up in arms.
Well, get some weight off. But he was.
So that might be good for them if they start to come around and protest. They might lose a bit of weight.
They might lose a bit of weight. And probably that should be exercise. Walking out to the toilet from the bedroom. No, but anyway, but now we're going to say, hope someone's listened to this in the SEN fellas, and Brian Martin still usually in the running is slow out, but
when's the Caulfield Cup?
That's last week.
Have they had the Caulfield Cup already?
Cox played on Saturday.
Have you got any tips?
Then, yeah, I think what's the name of that Star something?
Something Star.
Oh God, I'm going back to the favourite. Who's the favourite at the Cox Plate? Piero's Gay Woodhouse is the favourite.
So something Star.
Ocean Park. I'm going to back it.
Ocean Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's here live on the video.
Yeah, they all went. And the Melbourne Cup. I think I can't believe that Dunedin. I don't know what the penalty he's going to get for winning the Caulfield Cup. If he gets a reasonable penalty, Colin, he could do the back-to-back Melbourne Cups.
Okay.
The way it went on Saturday.
Well, look forward to that, and maybe we'll see if your prediction was correct by this time next week.
Well, I'm going to back Ocean Park. I think it's a really good thing in the Cox Plate. But next week we might do one of my old tales from back in Richmond. I've got another couple of good stories and all.
And then in a couple of weeks' time, it's the Melbourne Cup.
You've got to get yourself primed up for that.
The Phantom Call.
There won't be any slow out either.
Be slow out.
No outs. No slow outs.
All right. Well, that's goodbye from me.
That's goodbye from me, and we're good to see you. We'll see you next time, and all the best for your punting.
See you then.